Hello guys and welcome to the first session of our course, the Ethical Hacking Advanced Concepts and Practical Exploitations. So today we're gonna talk about the information security and the cybersecurity concepts because it is important for us to understand the concepts, the terminologies, the words used in the cybersecurity before we go in the practical hands-on working. And by the way, you can see that I have slides from the CEH, the Certified Ethical Hacker course. So it means that the good thing about my course is it will cover two aspects, the concepts and the hands-on technical part, the hands-on. So by that, you can take certifications after the course like CEH and more. And by the way, I'm certified CEH as well. So let's start with the essential terminologies because this is important to understand before you start working in the hacking field. So what is the hack value? It is simply something that is worth doing by the hacker, let's say, or something interesting. So let's say a hacker acquired or managed to hack a device, a computer. The hack value will be compromising the device, maybe stealing data from the inside. Zero-day attack or zero-day vulnerability. So it is a vulnerability or an exploit, or let's say a weakness or loophole in an application, in a software, in a machine that no one knows about it except this hacker. So if I find a vulnerability, a new vulnerability in Cisco firewall, for example, or in Apple iOS, and no one before knows about this vulnerability, it is called now a zero-day vulnerability. So zero-day attack is when you exploit this zero-day vulnerability and make an impact from it. So we keep talking about vulnerability. So what is a vulnerability? It is simply a weakness or an implementation error or a bug or a flaw in the design of the application, and sometimes can be inside the human themselves, that allows you to exploit the weakness, to exploit it, to use it, to gain this advantage, to make something bad inside the system or the person. So daisy chaining is a word that we can use when we have gained access to a network, and from this network or the computer we were able to use it in order to gain access to other networks and computers. So let's say I hack you in order to hack your brother, or in order to hack your family, or let's say you are an employee in a network. Sorry, let's say you are an employee in a company. So the company network is secure. So I need to find a way to break inside. So I track you, the employee. I find that you have weaknesses, you have vulnerabilities. So I hack you, and then through you, I wait you to access the company network. Then I hack the network through you, through your device, through your phone. And this is what is called the daisy chaining. So it is like a chaining vulnerabilities, chaining couple of scenarios in order to achieve what you want. So we keep talking as well about exploits. So exploit is like a breach, or is the level of doing the attack. So whenever you're doing the attack using the vulnerability and the payload, this is what is called exploit. Well, payload simply is the piece of code that you use in order to exploit the vulnerability. So you have vulnerability, which is the weakness. You have the payload, the piece of code, the malware, the backdoor, whatever, and you have the exploit, which is the process of using the payload to attacking the company via the vulnerability. And we have something called doxing. So doxing is simply publishing personal information about a specific person or about a company or a client or an employee inside maybe social media, inside databases, or inside any forum. They are data breaches that have personal identifiable information. They call them PII. PII info meaning that personal info, like emails, passwords, phone numbers, personal life. So all of these called PII, and they are either extracted from leaked data breaches, maybe from open source, dark web, source code, wherever, other channels. And bot, we all I guess heard about a bot. Bot is a software application that can be used to automate and execute set of tasks. So let's say I need to automate the alarm of my home. So now it is called a bot. Let's say now we will see it later. We need to automate the subdomain discovery. We need to know all the domains related to this company. So we create a code, a script that it can also call the bot. There is something called botnet. Botnet are the malwares like a virus, but it is called malware. So botnet type of the malwares that is able to hack your device, steal everything inside, record everything you're doing, and give it back to the hacker, send it back again. So what are the elements of the information security? So we all know that, the information and this infrastructure of a company is possible to be tampered, manipulated, is possible to theft, stealing data from, and is possible to disruption of the information and corruption as well. So that's why the regulators, the industry has set of rules that can keep the cybersecurity and information security concepts in safe rules. So we have something called confidentiality. So confidentiality is to control the information. You know this information with whom to share. So only authorized users can access this information. By that you maintain that this information will not be leaked, or there will be no loss for this info. Integrity is about the trust. So whom I trust to protect, to keep this data in concept of impersonation or stealing or this stuff. So integrity is ability to protect your data from being modified, and availability is the ability of protecting your data through authorized user and maintaining access to these data. So what does it mean by this? Let's say a hacker managed to hack your infrastructure and stole data. Or let's say a hacker managed to hack your database. Well, if he stole the data, now it is a matter of confidentiality. If he modified the data, now it is a matter of integrity. But if he kicked you out of the database, if he locked you out, if he managed to have your database and revoke the access for you, so now it is a matter of availability. So you don't have any available access for you inside your database because the hacker kicked you out. And this is how we explain them. So authenticity is simply to maintain that you are genuine, you are the real user that has access to this data. So, and the non-repudiation is, the rejection of something. So let's say you received a message, then you rejected it, meaning that you're telling that you're not the person who received the message. So this is sometimes it is used in court, and they provide evidences that no, you are the owner, you are the receiver, and this is the proof. So these stuff don't need to know them properly, but this is important because you will see in vulnerabilities in the web you need to identify the confidentiality, the integrity, and the availability of the vulnerability that you discover. Let's say I was able to find a vulnerability that allows me to modify the user role inside the company. So now it is a matter of integrity because it modifies data. And also, if this vulnerability allowed me to stay persistent inside the system, it is a matter of availability. So now we have integrity and availability. But this modification of the user role could not affect the data, could not affect the information. So there is no confidentiality. But if I found a vulnerability that allowed me to extract some information about my clients, like email addresses, and maybe contact information like phone numbers, now it is a matter of confidentiality. There is no matter of integrity because I cannot change these data, this information. I only can expose them. I only can steal them. And if this vulnerability is persistent, if anyone can use it, if I can find this vulnerability without anyone knows about it, so it is also a matter of availability. So this is how you categorize them. I hope you understood exactly how they mean. And we will talk more about them. I remember I have something here. So also they are called part of CVSS calculator. So CVSS is word for Common Vulnerability Scoring System Calculator. And you see, when you want to prioritize and categorize the vulnerability, if it is a low impact or medium impact or high or critical, there is something here called the impact metrics, the confidentiality impact, the integrity impact, and the availability impact. And because of this, you get the level of the impact, low vulnerability to medium. For example, if we set it to high and this one to high, we will get score 6.2, which is a medium. But if we here play with it a bit to network, we will get 8, which is high vulnerability. If we hit it like here, no, 9.8, which is a critical vulnerability. And you know, like this. And we will explain further, so don't worry, because I'm trying to do as much basics as possible so you can understand everything. And please remember, Google is your friend. So if you saw a word here you didn't know and mistakenly or maybe on purpose I didn't explain it, you need to go on Google and check the word, so now you will understand it properly. Okay, so this is the thing that all software engineers and all the software development companies talk about. You need to maintain the security of the application between the functionality and the usability. And what I mean, let's say you have a web application, or let's say you have a mobile application, an APK, a mobile app. So putting a lot of security restrictions is hard. For example, whenever you want to log in, you need to put two-factor authentication, you need to put trust authority people, you need to put SMS received to your email, so or to your phone. So a lot of security restrictions whenever you want to log in. It is bad. So the beautiful thing and the challenge thing is to maintain the functionality, the good features of the mobile application with the usability, with a good interface, good GUI, graphical user interface, and to maintain the security. And this is where the challenge comes. These are the three main components that can cover the level of the security and that can cover the level of the, accuracy and the happiness of the user as well, because this is where something we call it the customer success or the user success, where we need to monitor these three parts. And this is where we call them the security, functionality, and usability triangle. Well, okay, so the motives of the hackers. Well, whenever there is a hack, there is an attack, there is a motive, there is a goal behind this attack, there is a method used, and there is the vulnerability. So let's say I want to hack this person. There should be a motive. Maybe he done something bad to me, so I want to hack, for example, let's say the simplest thing. I want to hack his social media accounts. Maybe he done something bad in reality to me, so I want to hack his Facebook account, and I will use, for example, phishing, or I will use social engineering technique, and I will exploit a vulnerability in his mindset. I will tell him, click on the link, there is winning a prize or winning a gift, and add your credentials. And this is the simple example. While in the real scenarios, let's say I want to hack a company, the motive could be, or let's say I want to hack a bank, the motive will be gaining money, stealing money from the bank. The method will be maybe physical access, maybe trying to hide the cameras, trying to find some weaknesses there in their security guards, and the vulnerability will be exploiting any weakness they have. Maybe they are updating their systems and I use this advantage. So the motives behind the information security attacks, either disrupting a business, either stealing data or manipulating the data or creating a fear, a chaos inside the infrastructure. Or sometimes it can be for religious and political beliefs, sometimes for the states, for the military, for the government, and we will see in details here the threat and attack vectors. So these are types of the vulnerabilities, some information security attack vectors. We have vulnerabilities and the threats inside the cloud. Let's say Amazon, AWS, cloud servers, wherever. We have something called the APTs, the advanced persistent threats, which are malware stealers that can stay inside your victim machine. So inside your machine, without letting you aware that they are there and they are stealing your data. And these are parts of the viruses and worms. So advanced persistent threats is a technique, is a strategy, and it uses the viruses and the worms, then it uses the botnets. So viruses and worms are type of malwares inside that can be injected inside the malware, and they are capable of being spreaded inside the malware within seconds. Mobile threats are the same. They are also malwares and threats, but for mobile applications. Botnets are one of the most dangerous malwares inside the internet. They are able to bypass antiviruses. They are able to infiltrate the networks, to stay inside your machines, inside your computers, and bypass antiviruses, open your camera, record everything you type on your keyboard, open your mic, listen to everything, and much more, and report back to the hacker. We will write some botnets, some malwares in the course using Metasploit, and I will show you a real use case malware I wrote and I used as well. So insider attack is when you manage to hack the company from the inside. Maybe you have an insider, a person from the inside. So this is where we get sometimes something called insider threat program, analyzing the inside corporate network, the inside infrastructure, and detect if there is an employee that is harming the company from the inside. How this happens? So you're working for a company. There is a malicious hacker that threaten you to steal your data or to hack your banking account unless you plug in a USB flash inside a computer, inside your network. So by that, he will threaten you, and you will be an insider threat. You will be the insider guy, unintentionally, because you are forced to do. Or I assign an agent to go inside the company, inside the government, inside the bank, go and plug in a USB flash inside a computer or inside a router or inside whatever, Raspberry Pi, and then I hack the network. So a lot of the attacks are happening inside the network. That's why there is something called internal penetration testing. And this is what also I'm gonna teach you, because companies ask for it a lot. You can get a lot of internal pen test projects and you can get money from it as well. So also other types of threats, we have, the categories of the threats, how they are distributed. So the threats are distributed inside the network, inside the host, inside the application. So network threats can be from anything inside the network can be reached to the firewalls, the intrusion detection and prevention systems, the routers, the computers, the laptops, the phones, where hackers can sniff inside the network, spoof, and try to do man-in-the-middle attacks, like capturing the request. If you're sending a message from a computer to another, when the hacker has access to the network, he tries to intercept this message, to take it, to modify it, and to send it back to you. He tries to manipulate the DNS and the ARP requests, which we will talk about later, and try to do password attacks, denial of service, to make some services unavailable, like for example the router or the firewall, and try to do other attacks as well. We have the host threats that are related directly to the physical devices or the OS the operating systems as well. So this is where malwares get involved, even password attacks, denial of service, because later on you will notice that denial of service is not only about attacking hardware, firewall, or IDS, it's also about application, it's also about operating system. So you can make denial of service inside the Windows by launching a lot of processes. You can make denial of service inside the application by sending a lot of requests. And please believe me, I will explain everything technically. We will do denial of service for the application level, for the device level as well. So you can see in action. And this is something that companies pay for it if you identify it inside an application, like the bug bounties, the HackerOne platforms, and so on. So also, vulnerabilities on the host level is like bypassing security control inside the Windows machine, for example, making a backdoor, having a backdoor, and we will implement a backdoor when we hack a machine later on. So backdoor means the way where you can go back to the machine that you hacked. So placing malware or a door that you can open and the victim doesn't know about, and other stuff as well. So unauthorized access to specific file, to specific folder, to specific app, to specific section. This is also part. Ability to execute code on the host is also part of the threat. For the application, here we talk more about the web mobile vulnerabilities that are targeting the application level. So any app, like data, the inputs, where you enter your email, password, and much more, where you can inject and do authentication and injection vulnerabilities like SQL injection, authentication and authorization, security misconfiguration, information disclosures, play with the session, kick maybe user out, or manipulate user session to hijack it and steal it and access the application pretending to be that user or on behalf of that user. And improper error handling, improper handling for the exception errors by mistake, so you can expose code inside the response by mistake, and much more, which all we will talk about in details. So what are the threats and the attack vectors? Well, so you see they are repeating each other, yeah, but it is important to pass through them because the purpose of this course is to start from basics to advanced level. And believe me, when you understand these topics, these methodologies and these terminologies, no need to understand anything else beside these, because now you have the full overview, the full map inside your head, and you can talk about anything inside the cyber world, from worms, viruses, malwares, attacks, and much more. So we have the threats, and the threat is something that is happening because of a vulnerability or of a malware, of an attack. So threats happening because of attacks. Well, let's understand the type of attacks. So the attacks can be done against operating systems, gaining access to a system, to a machine, like, for example, Windows, Linux servers, Linux OS. So this is one of the attack vectors. Like some vulnerabilities here, they are mentioning some, like buffer overflow, unpatched operating system. So this is important. Sometimes you don't update your Windows. Well, releasing updates for Windows is not for the functionality of the operating system, but also for securing the security, for fixing some vulnerabilities inside. So it is important to update your antivirus. Misconfiguration attacks. So sometimes you configure your web server to listen to certain ports, to listen to certain protocols, and to respond to certain requests. But somehow there will be misconfiguration or misunderstanding in the configuration. Maybe the IT engineer didn't configure it well, and from that there will be vulnerabilities arising. So the misconfiguration is not only in the web servers, in the physical devices, but also on the application level as well, databases, the whole network, the frameworks, even the tools. So it may result in illegal accessing to the system or to the app, or performing illegal actions, modifying data, or even owning the whole system. So misconfigurations, we talked that they can also happen on the application level. So when we talk about application level, as we mentioned in the threat section, it is also targeting the web vulnerabilities from session hijack, denial of service, SQL injection, cross-site scripting, XSS, meaning, and we will explain all of these, yeah. Shrink wrap code attacks. So even the attacks are targeting the source code, the static code, the piece of codes. So because you, for example, sometime the developer by mistake write a code and use, for example, code for login page, and by mistake keeps the login credentials, the default ones, admin or admin password. So the hacker, first thing he will try is the default username and password, so he will be able to obtain access. And believe me, during my work, I found a lot of default credentials, very easy passwords, sometimes 1 2 3 4 5. You won't believe it, sometimes from 1 to 9, sometimes admin at 1 2 3. Yeah, and because of this, I managed to obtain access to critical infrastructure, because you only need one small lead in order to obtain access to something bigger and start hacking further. So, like for example here, just a bit of information warfare, how the information and communication technology, which is the ICT, works from the defensive and the offensive side. So you see that the cybersecurity consists of two main parts, defensive and the offensive part. Defensive, where you prevent, detect, alert, protect, and respond. And the offensive side is where you try to understand the mindset and the attack behavior of the hackers and see how they are finding vulnerabilities, how they are attacking your infrastructure. When you understand their behavior, when you understand their approach, their methodology, then you can prevent and secure. So you will need the offensive part and the defensive part as well. Well, I'm gonna stop here, and in the next session, we will continue about the actual now hacking concepts, types, and phases. See you.